Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me as always is the person who puts plants in her boots.
Sarah?
Because the boots
right.
is
one of the planters is a boot.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Delicious. Now, if you want to see our review, check out the Rolling with Reviews Delicious video. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. In Delicious, players fill their makeshift gardens
Like boots
with fruits and vegetables based on cards and tokens that are revealed in the community area. How players use the cards and tokens is limited, and over 12 rounds, players work to maximize scoring opportunities, and the player with the most points at the end wins. All right, so Will, how does the game change for two players?
So for two players, it is player count neutral, so it's the same for 3 and 4 players on up.
Yeah.
I think there's only a bot for the solo play with like a little bird that goes around.
Right, and blocks of spots.
So a little nanobird. Yeah. Otherwise, 2 players is like everyone else except 1 player.
Right. And so on that, we couldn't find any issues at the 2-player count because it is pretty neutral. Now, what it does well, though, and this just has to do with the fact that there's fewer people at the table, it's easier to see the card and token combinations. Higher player counts, you're going to have people farther away from, the main choice of it. And so that could be an issue at higher player counts.
Yes.
That's it for the 2-player experience.
Yeah, that's it. Accessibility.
Accessibility. So as we kind of just mentioned, the tokens are small. I kind of wish they were just a little bit larger, not only just for handling, but mostly for seeing, especially at a distance.
Yeah, I think our first game we completely mistook one of the icons. 1, we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And 2, we then mixed it up with another icon that was similar.
Yeah. And
because it was just small.
And that's the problem, is it's not just the tokens, but on the player sheet, the icons shown on there are also small. So we got a couple of them mixed up, and Will's right. There was one we were like, I don't even know what that is, but because I need a language to tell Will what everything is, I had to make something up, and it didn't make sense. And if you
Oil can.
Yeah, if you really want to know, evidently there's a house sprayer which looks, in my opinion, at least at a very small level, kind of like an oil can. And I didn't know what an oil can had to do with gardening, and it doesn't at all. But I had to make something up because I have to tell Will all the different icons. So like over here, this is a rake, and there's a boot, and there's a watering can
shovel.
or shovel. I have to tell him where all the different icons are so he knows how to interact with it, since he can't see them. The good news here is they have posted the player sheet files to their website, so you could download it and print it out larger, which is what I'm planning to do. Maybe even laminate it. I'd have to store it separately because the box is kind of small, but it would be worth it for anyone who's having some trouble seeing those icons. It won't improve the tokens, but it would improve the player sheets.
Yes.
Those with severe vision issues like Will might have some problems with the fruit planter.
Yeah, so they don't have a basic rectangular shape. There's columns and rows, and they all have like different amounts of spaces in each of them.
And the spaces are different shapes. So if it was a square grid with different shapes, that would be easier for him to keep track of.
Yes.
Or if it was the different columns and rows but did not have different shapes, he would be able to keep track of that. But the 2 layers on top of each other, it was very difficult for him to figure out in his head.
Yeah, because is this, where's the ovals, where's the stars, where's the hexagons?
Because he has to know this information to make meaningful choices
in this
to get
row
points.
that's only 3 spaces long.
Right.
Okay, I think I got it.
Right.
Wait, what's above it? What's below it?
Right, because it scores horizontally as well as vertically. So you want to make sure that whatever you put in the conjunction of those things is what you want it to be.
Yes.
So that was a little difficult for Will. So again, for those with severe vision issues where you have to keep it in your head and you're not actually seeing the sheet, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. That's it, though, for challenges. So what it does well, I mean, all the icons are unique. like I said, just a little small, so maybe you get some mixed up, but they are all unique. The text has high contrast with the background, so you're not going to have problems there. And there is a grayscale side of the sheet. Now, they did that more for those who want to draw their own side, but it's also a more accessible side where if the colors are getting in your way visually, you get a grayscale side so you can more clearly see the spaces and the icons and be able to figure out what you need to put where. So that is really nice.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really great is they made this game accessible for those who can't draw. They actually suggest specific letters, capital or lowercase, depending on whether it's vegetables or fruit, for you to enter instead of trying to draw. Because there have been a few in the past that we've tried where they only give you a way to draw and they don't give you that alternative. Granted, you can always do that alternative, but it's really nice when it's in the rules and suggested for you. Lastly, it's or not lastly, but one of the things is open information. Lastly, Will, you were able to.
Yeah, I was able to. Normally when it's the flip and write, Sarah has to do a lot of things. So she's flipping the cards, she's writing on both our sheets, and I'm sometimes feel like I'm there for moral support. But in this one, it's simple enough that I have the two decks. I have little arrows showing this is the top deck, this is the bottom deck. I can flip those over, add tokens. I just have to ask her, it's like fruit or tool, put them down. Good to go. So I'm handling a good chunk of the space that normally gets into her way cognitively when she's playing a flip and write type game.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that was actually a surprise to me when Will and I first started playing games together is he can feel the difference in the punch board, whether it's the face or the back side. You want to explain?
It's super easy, barely inconvenience. The punch boards, the way they manufacture them, is the cut, if you feel it, one side will be beveled, so it'll have a more rounded end, that's usually the top, and the other side will have a very flat end, that's usually the bottom. Mm-hmm. And depending on how the printing is, that might actually be flipped in terms of what the game concept is. But it's an easy thing that you can feel on any of your tokens, any of your chit boards. You feel it and you're like, especially if it's thick enough, because there are some chit boards out there that are just a little too thin. I think we recently played Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Yeah. Their coins are too thin. Fortunately, that's more of a size thing. So I can tell 5,000 from 1,000. With these ones, there's enough thickness that I can feel top and bottom.
Right. So when I tell him fruit, he knows to put Exactly.
And tools is the flat side up.
Right. And so that's how he can handle all of that. And it makes the game more balanced for both of us, because otherwise I would be, like you said, most something and write games, I have to control everything, and he's just sitting there making decisions for himself.
Yeah.
So this was a really nice change that we could be a bit more even. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go on to the conclusion then.
For 2 players.
I think so, because it's pretty independent of the player count.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to be easier because there's fewer people at the table to be able to easier see the choices.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see a diminishing return when you get to player 57. That's when some people are starting to just play the same game, really.
Well, at that point, you're going to need to use a camera and have screens in various parts of the room.
And a bingo hall.
Type situation.
Yes.
There you go. For accessibility.
For accessibility.
I think it's going to be mostly yes. I mean, again, the tokens and the icons are a little small, but you can print out the sheet larger. So I think most people are going to be fine. Even if you can't draw, you can write letters.
Yeah. It helps the fact that all of this is open information. Mm-hmm. I think the area that I still kind of struggle with is the fruit section. Yeah. Just keeping all that. Even though I think I score better in the fruit section than you.
I think it's because you have to focus on it so much.
Yeah, that I end up scoring better there, which still loses me the game. Yeah. Somehow.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah, it is.
All right. And Sarah.
Yes.
If you don't like putting plants in boots, what do you like putting plants in?
Well, a chest of drawer, of course. Because they're like square just like that, but they have a nice little pull handle on it. So
fancy. So you just put the plant away when you're done with it?
And pull it out when it needs some sun, and when it doesn't need sun, I just push it back in.
Well, you can grow mushrooms, so that's one thing. All right. Why would you ever roll with just one when you can be
rolling with two?
And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.